To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of the panel on learnmedia.tv on Wednesday, the 23rd of October. The 2024 is getting shorter and shorter as we go along. But anyway, we have a special guest tonight. Good evening, Patsy Peril, and welcome.
Good evening, Paddy, Mary, and Tony.
And good evening, Mary and Tony as well, and welcome along.
Oh, lovely. Okay, we're here anyway.
Now, Patsy Peril is a pilot, a fisherman, a history buff, racketeer, and now a published author. Patsy's new book is being launched tomorrow night, that's Thursday night, 6 o'clock, in O'Mahony's bookshop in O'Connell Street in Limerick. And we want to see loads and loads of all the supporters along for the night that's in it. Swimming upstream, Patsy. I mean, firstly, there's the book there, One Man's Fight to Save the Atlantic Wild Salmon. And they say, Patsy, that if you eat enough salmon, you'll acquire wisdom.
Yeah, well, Phil McCool was the first guy to, what shall I say, profit from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, way back with the Fina at the time he was hunting and the whole lot. He was cooking a salmon one day over an open fire. And the salmon was cooked anyway. And he put his finger on the salmon and burned himself. Right? So he just put his hand up to his mouth, licked off the skin that had stuck to it from the salmon.
Yes.
And he became inundated with knowledge. He became a Tony Browne.
Now, this book has been without a doubt, Patsy, I would say, a labour of love for you because you're fishing all your life. Patsy lives out there at Honan in Limerick, and that's just next door to us here. And Tony's leafing through the book. But what gave you an interest in the fact that the wild salmon? I mean, wild salmon. I'd never eat farmed salmon anyway. I wouldn't go near any farmed fish anyway. That's just my own personal opinion. I'd want to nearly catch it before I'd eat fish.
I don't get what you want me to say.
Well,
I missed your question there, actually.
Yeah, the wild salmon. We all understand what it is, but there's farmed salmon as well. In my opinion, I'd never eat farmed fish. Never eat farmed salmon as well. And there are totally different species, if you like.
Yeah, there's no comparison whatsoever.
None.
I mean, in all aspects of the farm salmon, you have chemicals to ward off diseases.
Yeah.
And you have chemicals to give them skin color because they're snow white inside instead of the pink of the natural salmon.
Yes.
So you can have different chemical grades to give you different pink colors, you know. So even that alone is a severe health risk.
Yeah. Now, how is the wild salmon in danger, for the want of a question?
Well, they've taken about almost 100 years to do it. It's now in the extinction stage.
Go away.
Yeah, because it's below the conservation level in 80% plus of our Irish rivers have non-functional salmon, wild salmon.
Can I ask a question, Pat, of
Yeah.
I mean, I love salmon. I mean, that's my go-to if I'm out. I love salmon. But how did you get interested in fisheries, and particularly in the decline of the salmon population?
Well, It's quite simple. I was born into a fishing family and into a fishing village.
Yeah.
90% of the people in Kona 120 years ago had all a fishing connection. The 80% of their livelihood came from fishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm in fishing. It's the first animal I've seen, you know, because there was fish coming into my house when I was only barely after opening my eyes after being born, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
the waterways as well. There's been a myriad of reasons to decline in salmon. We know that. Some of it, unfortunately, is pollution.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And some of it is the overuse of nitrates and all on the land. Don't we know that?
Yeah. Well, that happened in England before it happened in Ireland, the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
That's 200 years plus happened in England. But we didn't get that until almost recently, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
and
it's
how
the primary reason of how fish disappeared in the last 100 years was overfishing. And the technological advances of the gear that we used catching the fish and the types of boats.
Yeah.
And, you know, the material for the nets nowadays is indestructible. Before, you know, you could go out fishing and you'd come in with nothing, your nets would just overnight have broken down, you know, the substance of them.
Yes.
and how do you propose to solve this issue, Patsy?
Pardon? Oh, to solve it?
Yeah.
Well, it's all fishing for salmon has to be, a halt has to be called immediately. Right. We have in this day and age the most nefarious fisheries in the world, I would call it, right, in Greenland. Commercial fishing of a species that is 90% defunct, extinct in the water, like, you know, the North Atlantic salmon anyway. You know? And here they are in the North Atlantic where the fish are in the one position like in a fish bowl for 12 months of the year feeding. They leave Ireland, go to Greenland, Iceland, and stay there for a year, and back to come mature, you know, after about 5 or 6 pound weight. And these guys, the European effect, Denmark, Greenland is a vassal state of Greenland. It's ran by by Denmark. Greenland is, and you have Danish, a European EU country, was a country, and they were the first to opt out of the EU was Greenland in 1985. England is not the first. You had a Greenland exit first for their fisheries alone. We gave away our fisheries.
Yeah,
we did.
They were forced into by Denmark, and when they found out the economy of Greenland was gone kaput, out they popped of the EU and had the fisheries and made billions. There's only 56,000 of a population in Greenland. The Inuits and whoever are there, right?
Yeah.
56,000. Now, so you have a Danish 10, 15 million people, you know, and their boats are up there. And that's where the salmon are being caught by the thousand, the few just escaping, because there's millions of salmon should be there, right?
Yeah.
There's only a couple of 100,000 maybe there at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
But these guys,
what do you think, Patsy, of the logic of Ireland giving away our fisheries?
well, the farming community gained by it, you know, but we had 5 or 6 boat making, shoe making factories in the country.
Yeah.
They were all thriving. All of those went, you know.
Yeah.
And the farming community were the only people that benefit directly from it at that stage.
It just beggars belief that we struggled so long and for so many centuries for independence, and suddenly we give everything away to Europe and to other countries. It's like
our country is an island, Ireland, and it beggars belief, Patsy, that our politicians gave away and destroyed the fisheries industry in this country.
Yeah,
completely destroyed it. You know.
Yeah. Well, England is no better state than us. The English are abusing their fisheries as well. And they're abusing them by having these fish farms, which are impacting adversely on the wild stocks.
Yeah.
But the next thing, and it's well on its way, it's an endangered species now, where we had billions of eels. And an eel now, one eel now is as valuable as a salmon.
It is.
And yeah, and the lifestyle of the eel is similar to the salmon, but worse in reverse.
Yeah.
The young eel comes up the river.
Yeah.
It's the adult eel that comes up, or the adult salmon that comes up the river and goes down as a juvenile. Yeah. And the eels come up as juveniles from the Saragossa Sea.
Yeah.
But in Canada, there is actually people going to jail, guys poaching the eels, and we used to have millions of them on the strand.
Yeah.
Tony,
my mother used to cook eel for us.
Yeah, and we used to eat eels good as well, yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
They're as nice as the salmon, actually, you know.
I never tried one.
Oh, they're beautiful.
No,
nice as meat you could eat.
Prawns and salmon and trout and haddock and whiting. That's all I've ever eaten.
Tony and two fish though, are you?
Yeah. You mentioned something the other ago about fish species, Paddy. And there's a story in the Guardian just a couple of days old where 1 ton of the glass eels, there's about 6 million little eel fry in that, shipped to Russia in the last couple of months, right? So you have 6 million of them, and you can put down 20 million of 1 ton, and you can put down 20 million because 20 euro an eel, right? That's what the amount of when they grow up after a few years.
Oh my God.
That's what you pay for an eel. It's what, you know. So here's the Russians getting 6 million by 20, you know. And
I mean, first of all, I suppose to help the situation, there has to be a lot stronger voice of this country in the EU on the fishery policy, on the whole approach to the EU fishery policy, you know, and to preserve our stocks and help them, the ones that are in jeopardy. There should be a lobbying situation. It could become one of the issues now in the upcoming general election for people to think about when the politicians knock at your door with their big smile, beautiful smile that you haven't seen for 5 years, looking for your vote. This could be one of the issues that people could speak to them about on the doors, because we are an island nation and we fish for our health. Tony, you're a fish eater. Do you like salmon?
I do. We'll go back to talk about the book. First of all, Patsy, you were fishing in the summertime, am I right?
Well, it was start January into January, kind of like, you know, and straight through until into July.
And when did the fishing season start, and what did you do then?
Well, we used to head for England mostly.
Yeah.
Between that, and then you'd have reeds, Thatcher reeds in the wintertime.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And
when you're writing this book, Patsy, first of all, I have to admit, I read the book, right? And we should say there's, I think it's around 15 euros, Patsy. It's a hardback.
20.
It's a hardback.
Mary has it up there now. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful book, I have to admit now, Patsy.
Yeah.
And that coming from me now, saying it's a good book. Means an awful lot. But the launch is tomorrow evening, isn't it? Inside in O'Mahony's.
6 o'clock, yeah.
6 o'clock.
O'Mahony's bookstore in Limerick.
That's it, yeah.
It's been launched by the new mayor anyway. That's at 6 o'clock. Now, tell me this, Patsy. What gave you the idea to write this? What gave you the idea to write the book?
Watching the demise of the Shannon Tony of the salmon, right,
yeah.
And seeing that they were on the way out, and it's like it was the economy of Europe at one time. Haken, the Norwegian, whatever you call it, Vikings, right? King Haken, right? Haken. his economy was totally and absolutely dependent on salmon, wild salmon back the 800 and whatever, like, you know.
Yeah.
So that's, and religion. The Christian religion can thank the salmon for the upkeep of monasteries, the whole lot, and where monks and whatever travelled up and down rivers, it was salmon, they survived on salmon. And it was mostly rivers that were salmon.
But well,
whole, yeah.
In Limerick, we have the Lax Weir outside. Are there many salmon? There's a special gap in that, as you know, for the salmon on the Lax Weir. Are there any salmon going through it now? Outside in the Lax Weir?
No, there are actually no wild salmon, a distinct species on the Shannon, because the weir wiped them out. They have hatchery weir. At the moment, they're doing the hatchery. You're stripping the males of the whatever, right, and the eggs from from things to put them into hatcheries, to rear them in hatcheries. So they only needed 1,000 of those fish to come back, and they come back the same as cattle you leave out in the field and they come back in for milking, like, you know.
Yes.
Back to where they were.
How is what's your answer to the ESB and the Shannon fisheries?
Well, by law, they had an opt-out clause that they did not have to take care of salmon. They had a responsibility for them up to a certain point, but if they found that the care of the upkeep and care of the salmon was getting in the way of the manufacturing electricity, forget about the salmon. And that's in black and white in 1924 Act, 35 Act. Each act has repeated that. And that's where you're at. The ESB intentionally didn't put in a pass, and the life cycle of a fish would not give him a 3-year cycle, right?
Yes.
That's in the pardon?
I thought there was a fish pass in Crusher.
Well, Crusher was built in 1929, and the first pass that they put in the powerhouse was in 1959.
30 years.
Yeah, so that finished them off for that. Now, at the other side, you see your 2 passes, supposed to be, right? There was a pass with 39 steps, we call, right? Over in Bort Hill, which is on the Castle Connell side.
Yes.
So the river breaks into a V going up, right?
Yeah.
But very little water comes down the main Shannon up to where the 39 steps were.
All right.
And the ESB controlled that. So they wouldn't let the water in. They didn't let sufficient water in so the fish could build up momentum by having depth and
go
jump
up,
from step to step.
Yeah.
And only trickles of water coming down. And like what I'm talking about, the Act stipulates that all the need laid down is 10 cubic meters, which is a ton per cubic meter a second. Now, that sounds colossal and all that, but when you look at that in the Shannon, it's the same as you pouring a cup of tea out.
Yeah.
A trickle, you know?
It really wasn't going to help them at all.
Because there's 500 cumecs going through to run on the crusher.
Yeah.
And 10 at the other. And the average flow of the Shannon is only 300 or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So the Shannon is stopped actually 3 or 4 times a week, you know, depending on the weather. People think there's a constant, people may think there's a constant flow there. No. They are by law, believe it or not, supposed to keep a certain height. So in Loch Derg and places like that.
Yeah.
So that tells them you have enough for to, you know, keep going. And they can't let it drop below it.
A certain level.
Yeah. But, and, you know.
Patsy, I saw this video that you made. Now, you won't be able to talk while it's on in the background, but you can talk when it's finished.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I thought it was actually a video of you, but that was just a video of the Shannon.
And it actually showed, thanks, Mary, it actually showed the tower there as well. That tower was built in 1959, right? Because the ESB thought that they didn't do it for the good of the salmon. They thought that they were going to make a fortune out of their hatchery because the hatchery was built at the exact same time, right?
Yes.
So they thought we're going to make a fortune, but the poor fish would come up to this tower And it's the same as what you would see the time of the Norman Vikings and things.
No.
The monastery said a tower, like, with a door underneath.
That was actually Ardna Crush, a fish lift.
Exactly, to call it a fish lift.
What it says is that the salmon couldn't find, as Tony was saying there earlier, they couldn't find the tiny entrance to go through. And when the ESB generated the flow from the pass, represents as little as 0.125% of the flow in the downstream of the dam. The fish just cannot find the entrance due to this and the turbulence.
Now, Patsy, I grew up beside the River Blackwater. It's in North Cork.
I know it well,
and we used to go fishing just near Mallow Castle, and just further out the road near a place called Lumbertown, where the river was. When I was growing up as a young fella, but there's nothing there now. There's nothing in that river. It's just it's just a shame.
Yeah. Flatley was it on the Blackwater? Flatley had his
down from my
Castlehyde,
down near from my
that's the Fermoy one,
it's down from my side,
yeah.
But if we manage to keep things within, we're an island. Going back to what we said earlier, we're an island out in the Atlantic. There's no reason why we should have been selling off stuff to people on another island that we can't. That we have to buy back from them. It just makes no logic. You talk about England selling theirs. They at least have a tunnel connecting them to mainland Europe. We have nothing. So we're completely dependent on having sold all our fisheries. We're dependent then on the people we've sold them to buy them back. That makes no sense to me. It really makes no logic at all to me. We should be looking after. We have enough. I keep on saying it every time I go to Dublin on a train or anything. The amount of land that's vacant that they could be growing. They could be making beer. They could be growing vegetables, growing flowers. They could be growing potatoes. Why is everything just down to farming?
All the land you look out from the train trip from Limerick to Dublin is just full of fattening cows.
Yeah. So we're looking at it again as such, Mary and yourself right up there earlier. There's a con job going on with Norma. Norma has the best of both worlds. They have the royals and the whole lot. And they have full access to the EU markets with the salmon farms. They own the salmon farms, and the salmon farms are a big cash laundering system.
Yeah.
There's cash used big time in that. At the moment here in Ireland, all our rivers are full of so-called escaped hatchery salmon, or farm salmon. For in actual fact, I believe that at least half of those were released because there's a insurance paid up by governments and whatever. And we have the same thing in Scotland. And this Brexit thing, remember the leader of that Gove was in the fishing business.
Michael Gove.
Born in the fishing family.
Yeah.
And during the COVID, there was lorry loads, business trucks flying across here and there, moving salmon around the place. In all parts of the EU. No obstruction whatsoever for trading. And Scotland is owned as well by the Norwegians in the fish farms. And we have the same situation here.
And those fish farms, those farm salmon are full of lice.
And the effects of those lice, we just take it that it's wiping out the young salmon as well.
Yeah.
There's pathogens because there's viruses involved there, and we're in dire straits there because there's nobody care or keeping check. There's tons upon tons of chemicals used in salmon farms. In Chile, the lifespan of divers, and it's happening here too, but we're not getting the statistics. They're diving inside in chemical cages, dense, fog bound with chemicals inside the cages, and these divers are inhaling that. you know, you're not just totally independent with a mask and whatever, right? There is an outside connection. So and there's actually a strike going on in the salmon farms in Chile at the moment. They're not paying the workers. You know, that's in daily papers to be read as well, you know. So everything going on there is unregulated. And the biggest people taking the salmon from the Chilean millions of salmon are the United States. So all the countries have to get their act together because we don't have any health boards as far as I'm concerned, and we have no faith in the people who's supposed to be food authority, this and that and whatever. Because, you know, I have it in the book there. Some of the people responsible for food in this country will tell you that where they're getting their food from, they have no responsibility to stop people who are polluting the place with whatever. So, I mean, where are you with that, like, you know?
Amir, we're going to take a little short sauce here and play something, and then we'll come back again.
Right.
Okay.
Sir, I'm sorry, this is for first... Sir, I'm sorry, this is for first-class passengers.
I know, but I...
Your ticket is for 11C, sir.
I know, but nobody's sitting there. You give me like a personal upgrade, and I can upgrade you, and...
Sir.
No, okay.
Sir, can I ask you a really big favor? I have a medical condition where I have to... My bladder's really overactive. I have a bladder condition, and I have to get up a lot. Is there any way I could sit in the aisle and you would want to switch to the middle?
Well, I can't switch seats with you. I mean, I can't sit in the middle. It's claustrophobic in there.
It's okay. I just have to ask because I'm up so often.
I'll die in the middle.
It's so painful, too. I just want to see where the bathrooms are so I know, because it's going to be a run.
Okay.
Really? You were such a gentleman. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, my lucky day.
Yeah, mine too.
Just looking for the little thing.
Gotta buckle up.
Jesus Christ.
Give it here. Can I grab one of your clinics?
Oh.
I think it's just allergy.
Oh, man. No.
Sir, if I could just have you open your eyes so I can see your pupils.
If you could just try and relax a little bit. Long, deep breaths.
Excuse me, everyone. One of our passengers is taken ill. If there's a doctor on board, can you please ring your call button?
Sir, are you currently...
Hey, I'm asking for a doctor.
Mm-mm.
Huh? You're not going to heed the call?
Give it a minute. He's going to be fine.
How do you know? You don't even know what he has.
You ever been part of an emergency landing? Is that what you want, Larry? To spend the night in Lubbock, Texas at a Days Inn with a $15 voucher from Cinnabon? Think about it.
Excuse me. I'd like to use the bathroom.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Don't move too much. Don't get up. Ow. Ah! Why don't you move your foot, for God's sake?
So glad I ran into you on this flight. I'll call up Marty or something.
Well, that was just a little taster there for Tony, because we were told last week Tony loves curb your enthusiasm.
Yeah. Our special guest today on the panel is Patsy Peril, and Patsy's new book is being launched tomorrow evening, Thursday, the 24th of October, in O'Mahony's bookshop at 6 o'clock in O'Connell Street there in Limerick. Is the Lord Mayor officiating, Patsy, do you know?
Yeah, that's the latest I've heard anyway. He'll be there.
Oh, good. When you're all coming on, when you're on your cameras and your phone cameras and take plenty of photographs and It's Swimming Upstream, a rather appropriate title when about the Atlantic, the one man's fight to save the Atlantic wild salmon. So important for people, and it should be our basic food in being an island nation, you know. But nevertheless, our own governments can all hang their head in shame in selling our fish stocks down the river. Isn't that a nice pun to have? And make it a general election issue for all the TDs that will be knocking at your door. Bring it to their attention. Make sure you do, because it's a vital important, because we've lost so many industries, even just our own indigenous sugar industry, where we had 4 sugar factories in this country, like Mallow, Carlow, Thurles and Tuam, a thriving industry that my dad worked in it for over 40 years, and it's gone now.
Is there anything you'd like to say, Patsy?
Just gone.
Yeah, it's a lot, but you know, I'll be back again to you hopefully.
You will. You will.
No, you won't.
I enjoyed it. You should have, you know, you could have nearly put a halt over there a couple of times.
We're going to be looking at a few more issues during the program as well for the half hour we've left with you now. I suppose one of the things that's in the news today is that it's incredible in 2024 that a 6-year-old boy can go missing for 2 years, and nobody misses him to he. And it's just incredible, even though there was a report made to the Gardaí from week together and to Tusla. Nevertheless, it's frightening to think of it in this day and age. And it's very much not even being listening to the exchange in Dáil today, it was just pathetic. Our Taoiseach, our present Taoiseach, of course, is more interested in running up a bill of €500,000 in the last 6 months as Taoiseach on chartered flights. €500,000. Who does he think he is? The President of America? I mean, we're a tiny country, tiny country, insignificant.
But you know,
for the Taoiseach to rack up one flight alone from Baldonnel to Budapest and Budapest to Baldonnel cost €97,000. Another flight from Baldonnel to Geneva cost €60,000. I mean, even seeing the figures is shocking.
Our president flew to Kerry.
Help us. What do you want him to do, workers?
And his reply was, what did you expect me to do?
Yeah, but you blame him down. He's the president. He couldn't go to bike.
Tony, he doesn't, as president of this country, nobody deserves to fly from Dublin to Kerry. I'm sorry.
Well, I know flyers go every weekend to Family 4 from Dublin.
I hope the officers of the Limerick Historical Society aren't charging flights around like that.
No, I tell you, Patsy could have flown in better. Patsy used to fly one time, didn't you, Patsy?
Yeah. Tell us about that.
I actually flew Dick Spring around.
No.
I took a part in electing our first president, Mary Robinson.
No.
Yes.
I took Dick Spring around the hustings of Ireland.
Yeah, canvassing for her, yeah.
And I don't know if they paid me or I'll check my book. But anyway, right, that was one of the highlights of it anyway that I enjoyed. And I thought Dick Spring was a great guy.
Yeah.
What I mean is really interested in his job.
Yeah.
And he had a serious accident at one time. And he used to be flown from Dublin down to Kerry.
Yeah, he hurt his back, didn't he?
Back he did, yeah. A serious accident.
And,
that was one of the reasons that I was bringing him around, but he was fully recovered. To bring him around in the hustings as well, you know, for the votes. We went to Waterford, Mayo,
Galway.
Donegal. I don't know if we crossed the border a couple of times illegally. We could have. But anyway.
You would say nothing about that, but Dick Spring was a good. I remember one election that he was involved in, and he won his seat by 2 votes.
Yeah.
But I also know another thing. I won't mention their names at all now. They mightn't like it. There were people I knew in Cork at the time of the election, and their vote was in Tralee. And they got a phone call. There was a car sent up from Tralee to collect them in Cork City and bring them down, two of them, to Tralee. I'm not saying those two votes won it for Dick Spring, but he won the election by 2 votes, the seat by 2 votes. And we were slagging them for years that it was their votes, put him back in, you know. But that was, I mean, they got the highest number of seats, the Labour Party, under Dick Spring. They got 32 seats in Dáil Éireann that time under his stewardship, leadership, the Labour Party, you know. And they were very successful under him, but they had no choice only going with Fine Gael to be in government or Fianna Fáil, but you know, that's another story. But that was interesting, Patsy. So you were Dick Spring's personal pilot.
That's right, yeah.
Punches pilot, wasn't you?
Well, yeah. And I'll tell you, he was no mean pilot himself, because with all the experience he had with the air corps coming up and down, you know, we were coming into Watford, like, you know, and there was bad weather there or whatever, right? And I wasn't too sure of where I was, you know.
Yeah.
You know, in the perspective with the where the airport was, like, you know, I don't know, we were over the Salties or where the hell we were. We were where we should have been anyway, you know. Dick says then, like, you know, now he says, are we in trouble? We are, right. Can you do anything about it? I think he says,
I could jump out.
I think he says Watford was over in that direction there. I says, I'm not going to argue with you. And we went over and we were right over the airport.
I saw on YouTube an 84-year-old woman. Her husband was piloting the plane, and he got a heart attack in the pilot.
She was having a baby, was she?
No, he got a heart attack.
She was 80 something. And she had to fly the plane and land it. And her son, who was another pilot, was in the air traffic control. They called him, and they were all trying to guide her down. And she actually landed the plane, not knowing that her husband was dead beside her.
Yeah.
And she kept so calm for a woman in her 80s. It's just, you know, it's on YouTube. But my mother's son was trained in Baldonnel, and then he left and went with Aer Lingus, and then they stopped. He was a captain, and his brother was in the army, but they stopped that where you could join the Air Force, train
the Air Corps.
They train as a pilot and then leave. They brought in this rule that you had to pay off your training.
But you have to serve after being qualified. You have to serve 3 to 5 years in the Air Corps itself. So they didn't lose all the pilots to commercial pilots, you know.
Just before you get rid of me,
we're not getting rid of you at all.
Kona turned out about, in my time when I was there, you know, 1980 up to whatever, right? About 30 pilots.
Yeah, go on, it's all right.
We got about 15 to Aer Lingus, 15 pilots, and 15 to Ryanair, free gratis. They're the meanest two airlines in the world.
Who, Patsy? Who?
Aer Lingus and Ryanair.
We have.
Listen, we'd have nothing if it wasn't for Ryanair, Patsy. We always complain. I complain as well. But at the end of the day, none of us would get a holiday.
If O'Leary had his way, you'd be standing up in the aeroplane. Traveling around.
If it cost me only €10 to get to England or to get to France, I'd gladly stand.
Mary, I'd fly you over anytime for free.
Oh, thank you, Patsy.
Somebody should have told the president you got over for a tenner.
Yeah.
Do you still fly, Patsy?
I said if
I go up in that time with the pilots that are there, like, you know.
Yeah.
Just for a spin around. I'm just going to say to you, sick of flying. You never get sick of flying.
No.
No,
Got flights up to Greenland and you name it and places like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
With that's gone, whatever.
yeah.
But we'll chat again, lads, and thanks. Can I go home now?
You can if you want.
if you want, you can if you want.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
With the help of God. Thanks
Yeah.
very much, lads.
No
Thanks
bother.
for the call, Patsy, to Dick Spring. He said you libelled him.
I'd say he might have been.
Okay, Patsy. Take care.
Bye.
You're listening to the panel here on nearmedia.tv, and we're here every Wednesday night. And we'll be, what's the mother saying? We'll be down in O'Mahony's bookstore tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for the book launch of Swimming Upstream: One Man's Fight to Save the Atlantic Wild Salmon.
I went to the dentist last week, and my dentist, he's gay. We call him the tooth fairy. But have you noticed a dentist never speaks to you? It's always his assistant, isn't it? She's the one. She sticks you in the chair, doesn't she? Then she gives you that pink stuff, you know, that Campari disinfectant. And I never drink it. When she turns her back, I spit it in the bowl. Then he injects you, and when half your head doesn't work, he wants a conversation. How's the wife and family? Walking around talking like Peter Beardsley all morning. And the dentist never tells you not to have anything to eat or drink when you go home. When you go home, when you have a cup of coffee, and it's all pouring out the side of your face, isn't it? And you have a sandwich, and 3 hours later, you've ate your tongue.
That's Mick Miller. Mick Miller's on the circuit now for a long time. He's over there in England, and
I never heard of him.
Well, there's not.
Him.
Huh?
Patsy Peril was funnier than him.
Yes, good. But I mean, it looks a fantastic book, Tony. You know, is it well laid out? Is there lots of pictures on it?
There are.
Yeah.
Patsy, as a young friend, and I just can't find Shannon, and there's a picture here of his picture of his family as well. His mother, because Patsy lived with his mother, you see, in her final years outside in Honan.
Yeah. All right.
You know, and there's a photograph in cutting reeds. Actually, people remember when you're driving out towards passing the 2 Mile Inn, where you that's the boundary between where the river flows down there. That's the boundary between Limerick and Clare.
Yeah.
Up the bank of that there were always reeds cut that Patsy used to cut.
Reeds, yeah.
To dry and to be collected, you know, with farmers and color. People often wondered why there were so many reeds up on the side of the bank there as you approach Lansdowne Bridge there.
Well, they were an income source for people.
It was a tough job until you're cutting reeds, very
Was
tough.
it? I remember people in my village down the banks of the Blackwater, and by God, you'd be roped in the odd time to give them a hand, and it was back-breaking work.
Actually, his nephews, I think, they were doing it as well. They were cutting reeds as well. His nephews were.
There were lots of reeds down in Garryowen. Do you remember? When they beside where the old people's bungalows are down, as if you're going down towards the well and Clahon Fort. There was one big area where it was all swampland, and
that's where the fairies robbed the foundations. That is where all the fairies robbed the foundations. Obviously, you've never heard
fairies
that
and
story.
leprechauns.
Yeah.
So you've never heard that story. That's well known.
I never knew, and that's a mythological tale, is it?
No. There were foundations put down by the corporation. They were to build houses all in that area.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's a good job they didn't build foundation on it because it's so swampy land.
They put the foundations down. That's what I'm telling you.
There's no houses where I'm talking about now. It's just a green.
Listen. They did put down foundations, and they were there for about 4 weeks. And finally, they came on one morning. They were gone. They sank down. That's why they said the fairies robbed the foundations.
Oh, yeah.
The most they know that when that was in the early 60s, when they were building those three houses,
But there's so many stories about fairy forts in Ireland, So many stories.
Kept people away from them. That's why that was there. Whereas that doesn't apply anymore. I mean, they don't care now. That the fight.
I don't know about that, Tony. There's an awful lot. I was actually reading there not so long ago one particular tree here in Ireland, and they cannot knock the tree. Every time they've tried to knock the tree, somebody that's been involved in trying to demolish it has been killed. And or you might think it's an old wives'
There's a fairy tree up there beyond Drummond.
Eddie Linehan did that. He got the road moved.
The road, the plan for the road was to go right through that, and it was diverted because of that tree. The fairy tree.
But then it's suited Clare County Council to bring the road around because it made a better job. As you're coming back from Ennis, you slide up onto the roundabout. And Drummond roundabout,
Yes.
But then it was only for notice going on the paper talking about fairy. How many fairy will believe it?
Well, I mean, there's a half truths in everything, really, when you're going.
We don't know what's going on. If we're very silly people, and you talk about people laughing at things that are going on another planet or whatever. We're very, very silly people, or arrogant. I'm not quite sure what we are if we think that we're the only people on this planet. I really truly think it. If we think that we're the only people in this planet or constellation, we're very, very silly people.
Joke me, there couldn't be life there. They've proven it.
It is a representation of the best of that could be created.
There's no water on all the planets. I was looking at a program Sunday night on Uranus. There's no water. That's the problem. They know there's no water on these planets.
Well, they're still exploring the surface of Mars. That looks to be the best bet to colonize in the future.
How are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? Do you know the thing?
What's his name?
Virgin Airlines. Will he take us there? What's his name?
Well, I think
bring us.
Elon Musk will probably he got the first rocket into space and it reversed back into where it took off from.
It's like an ice cream cone. And
that's a huge innovation in space travel. Their media is the program, is a station now, or YouTube channel, their media on YouTube. And press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. We very much appreciate
English Premier League. Everton 1, Manchester United 3. Crystal Palace 4, Leeds United 1. Chelsea 4, Sheffield United 1. West Ham 1, Fulham 0. Sunday, West Bromwich 0. Tottenham Hotspur 1. Leicester City 1. Wolverhampton 0. Manchester City 1. Liverpool 1. Arsenal 0. A strong village 3.
Yeah, I know, Tony.
It wasn't. It was actually a sports program, and the poor misfortune. He looked so lovely, but couldn't pronounce the
People learn to pronounce things like that.
difficulty pronouncing languages in another country. It was just so funny. I thought it was very funny.
People in Limerick will pronounce things like that, half them. I'm telling you, never close. Set up that thing. It's easy set up a thing like that. No problem.
That wasn't set up though. I understand.
Now, we're speculating now. We know that the general election is on either the 29th of November or the 6th of December. It's one of those 2 dates, the general election, in this country anyway. And there's a lot of scrambling around now at the moment, as we know, for conventions and people picked and all of that. And I suppose the main issues for the general election in Ireland will be the usual things like, did anyone really see the programme on the Limerick Hospital on Virgin Media One the other night?
Yeah, some of it,
yeah. Well, it doesn't. It's no surprise. It's no surprise. Yeah. I mean, how you could in any hospital in 2024 admit a sick person who's in their 70s or 80s, throw them onto a trolley, and not give them a glass of water for 24 hours is inhuman and appalling carry-on and treatment of human beings. You wouldn't see it in the ghettos. It's just shocking. How the staff could do that. The staff and management could preside over a system like that for ongoing. They should hold their head in shame. It's a complete shameful, inhuman way to treat anybody. I always thought that you go into hospital to get better, but if you go into Limerick Hospital, the chances of dying if you have a serious problem is pretty high. And it's an indictment of the whole system where nobody seems to care. They just don't care.
It's all after pass, it's all over with now.
Yeah, they don't care. There's a huge amount of inquiries ongoing for the deaths of people, young people as well. A young girl in this town in Shannon where I live. It's appalling carry on. 16 years of age and left to die. It's just, there is no excuse for it. None.
But it's not long
and
ago.
The staff and management are to blame for it. No, I'm not to blame. They're to blame totally for it.
It's not long ago a woman was on the Upfront program, I think it was, and she was talking about her husband inside it was just cruel beyond belief. Her husband died in the regional hospital. She was going around the whole regional looking for him, and it took them 24 hours to tell her that her husband was dead. He had died on a trolley. He was dead on the trolley before they even realized. She was just gone home, and they took her 24 hours to tell the woman that he was dead. I mean, that's barbarism. That's absolute barbarism.
And for the medical profession, for the doctors, for the so-called consultants to stand over a hospital like that is shameful and shocking still today even. It's a
management. I fully believe it's a management issue because anytime I was out there in a hospital, you could hear your echo when you were talking. And I was brought around in a wheelchair, and one after the next, I swear to God, empty wards, completely dressed, no one in there. Everyone shoved into the casualty department because they had no nurses, not enough doctors, and not enough staff to run the wards. And that's what the issue is. It's not that it's overcrowded. If they moved people, the minute they saw they need a bed, up to the ward, that would solve the problem immediately. There's a shortage of staff, there's a shortage of management, and there's a shortage of doctors.
I think the time for making excuses for people like that. They're all adults that are working there. When I saw them last, and not children. But the idea of making excuses for people who are in positions like that is long gone.
Anyone who's a specialist should be on call as well in a hospital. But most of the specialists tragically are going in there. They're only available a certain many hours during the week. The rest of the time is taken up with their private consultancy. You're either working for the health service or you're working privately. You shouldn't be able to do both, but you should have to do a full 40-hour week in a hospital, either on flexi hours or on call. And then if you have time to spare that you want to do your private consultancy, otherwise just stick completely with private consult. There's people going in on a Friday or Saturday and they don't see anyone at all until Monday morning.
Or Tuesday.
Or Tuesday, depending on when the specialist considers them worthy enough to see.
Look at the car park on a Saturday out and it's empty. I mean, for all the workers. They don't work Saturday and Sunday.
No.
Consultants of the country held to ransom. And
absolutely.
Any big house, I tell you, I said it last night in a talk I was giving on houses. Any big house you see for sale, I know in the Limerick region, has been bought by a consultant. They're the boys with the money. They can buy.
You're dead right. That's the point I'm making, Tony. They should be made, if they're working for the health service, they should work Monday to Sunday and they should be on call. You can't have it both ways.
They won't do it.
They're in there looking for people for their own private consultancy.
Yeah. But there's nothing been to the board. People are going to elect the same people again.
No, you're right. But, it's time.
You know, I agree with you, Tony. The frustrating thing is... the frustrating thing is people would say, well, Pat, when I be talking to people locally, we need a change, we need this, we need that. In the last local elections in County Clare and Shannon, where I'm living, 90% of the votes went to Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. So therefore, what does that say to you?
My father voted Fine Gael, so I follow him. My mother voted for all this old rubbish. You know, they have no minds of their own. You know, going by all these things. You know,
but Tony, they're all as bad as each other. I mean, who do you choose? I don't see any good opposition. Are you seriously considering? Do you seriously think?
I think people should vote locally for people with principle and with honesty and with integrity.
Vote independent, but they vote.
There are enough candidates on the ballot paper to give people a choice if they really want to.
The appointment of ministers that haven't a clue. Imagine putting your McEntee. She's out in Dubai at the moment.
Yeah.
She know about law. Nothing.
Nothing.
And you watch Norma Foley over education. I mean, these people into these jobs and they haven't a clue. I mean, I could be a minister tomorrow if I was them. They could imagine put me into agriculture.
No,
you should only get a ministerial job, say in medicine or in the health service, if you have a background in the health service or you've worked as a medical doctor or a specialist or something, and you're in government.
Look, I'll rest my case.
Pat, let me finish, please. You've only got to if you're in finance, then you should be somebody who worked as Willie O'D is an accountant. Why isn't somebody like Willie O'D? I know he's not the if you like the party at the moment, but so why isn't somebody like Willie O'D a minister for finance?
Well, the minister for, you just look at the minister for finance at the moment is Jack Chambers.
Jack Chambers.
I should say he should look up his CV. Now we'll come to the end of another program, lads, but we have a treat to finish tonight. We're going to go out, Tony. We're going to go out with a song tonight. All right. So from Patsy Peril, who was our special guest at the top of the program, his book is being launched tomorrow night. You know, Manny's Bookshop. You know, Honan Street in Limerick, 6 o'clock.
Hold on,
get down. I have it here. Yeah, book launch, swimming upstream. One man's fight to save the Atlantic Wild Salmon. Patsy Peril. We'll see you in there tomorrow night, Patsy, and let's see you all turn up. So from Tony Browne, from Mary Honan, from myself and Patsy Peril, until we meet again next week, we'll leave you with this.
Only love can make a memory. Only love can make a moment last. You were there, and all the world was young. when love was all you were living for, and how you gave that love to me. Only then I felt my heart was free. I was part of you, and you were all of me. Warm were the days and the nights of those years, painted in colors to outshine the sun. All of the words and the dreams and the tears live in my remembrance. Only love can make a memory. Only love can make that moment last. Life was new, there was a rage to live, each day a page to live, and I remember you then when love was all you were living for, and how you gave that love to me. Only then I knew my heart was free. I was part of you, and you were all of me.
This is Rare Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.